Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Useful Disaster 4994 from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit. And it says, am I the arsehole here for telling my sister nobody was surprised when her kid said he did not care if she was alive or not? And there's a couple of trigger warnings on this story of abuse, suicide attempt, and a stroke as well. So if you do want to skip it, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. I come from a big family. We are 5 siblings, 2 sets of twins. 50 female, my sister, her twin died in utero. 47 male, me and my brother. 42 female, my other 2 sisters. We're talking about our biggest one. My parents were really careful not to parentify him because they both had the same fate in their family. They took good care of us. All of us had fruitful and satisfying careers. The problem is, at least for my sister, they didn't push us there. They encouraged, but they never had the expectation. This was a problem for my biggest sister. She always found them lazy and unmotivated, and she limited contact with us after she graduated law school. She has become a really successful lawyer, married to a renowned surgeon, who is my friend from medical school, a really ambitious guy who has a real OCD, and had a son at age 32 via IVF. It was all planned. After she had her son, aka my nephew, she started to push him really hard. She was trying to make him read at age 2, sent him to piano lessons from age 4, and had one-to-one tutors since he was in first grade. He was never allowed to have free time, and every moment of his life was curated. The only time slot he had was Saturday afternoon, and where he would visit my parents, and we always planned events and free time for him. His teenage years were absolute hell. He was forced beyond his capacities by my sister and brother-in-law, and when he was 16, he tried to commit suicide at the hospital brother-in-law works at by stealing benzo from the nurse counter. After that, he had a good time in the inpatient ward. 5 months in ward, 3 months in group home, and after that he wanted to stay with me. I am the only one from my siblings who does not have a kid, and I live with my husband in a 3-story villa so he can have the roof to himself. Brother-in-law had an awakening and he divorced my sister after this. Him and nephew had a year of family therapy. And last summer, he moved back in with brother-in-law. And he also decided to pursue medicine. I don't live in the US. Medical school starts directly after high school, and it is 6 years. During that time, my sister really dug her heels in. She blamed us and my brother-in-law for letting him to be weak. She said he was alive and he had to endure this so he could become resilient and untouchable. She said in court, I don't care if he feels bad. This is life. You either climb the ladder or you fall down. If he fell down, there is nothing we can do. Life goes on. I never saw someone to look with pure anger like the head judge, and he said, you are a really successful lawyer. I should give you that, but you're a really terrible person, and a being that can't be called a parent. And turned to my brother-in-law and said, you need help, a lot of help. Last January, my sister had a mini stroke, TIA. And she genuinely started to think about her life as I understood from my brother, who is the only one of us that checks up on her. And last week she tried to reach to my nephew, but he directly said he did not care if she was alive or not. When she tried to talk to me about that, I briefly said, what were you expecting, sis? And closed the call. Now all of the family calls me an arsehole, and they think I should have supported her. OP responded to a deleted comment on this one and said, I do remember how her fellow lawyers talked about her after this, and she was very heavily criticized. I have some high school buddies who are lawyers and they had very juicy gossip about her. She's one of the lawyers they call Haifisch in German, which Google says means shark. She is known for relentless ambition and almost pathological hunger for dominance. Someone says, growing up with her as a sibling must have been fun. OP says she did not interact with us much, so I can't say she was a big problem for us. She was a problem for our parents though. I remember her yelling at them for not sending her to boarding school because they thought it had a really unhealthy school culture. I wonder sometimes if they had sent her to school, she would have woken up way earlier. A commenter says, "Your poor nephew. He never got to have a childhood. He only got to be a kid for a few hours a week, and the rest was spent constantly working. His home life was so horrible that a fucking inpatient ward was a good time for him. OP, your sister is the devil. I hate her on your son's behalf. She's evil. Honestly, your brother-in-law is incredibly lucky that his son gave him another chance because he's just as guilty for standing aside." OP says, "My brother-in-law only knew hard work and grinding, and I don't blame him. He was and still is one of the best cardiac surgeons in my area, and I work with him at the same hospital. He's a really good guy at heart and came from a really poor family. I got him, and his son saw him from a really different light when my sister wasn't in the picture. Life is complicated." Someone says, "Do you think he was also victimized by your sister?" OP says, "To a degree, yes. My sister calculated her marriage with him at a precision. At divorce hearings, when she was asked about her marriage, she said it was calculated to maximize the benefits of being married with another person, and just saw it as a step in the right direction. On the divorce, OP said, I think she saw them as dead weight and wanted to be free as soon as possible when brother-in-law sided with my nephew. It is really hard to understand what my sister's logic is." Commenter says, "I don't know if you've already described it, but can you tell us about your parents' parenting style, philosophy and methods to the madness? I am prompted to get any help I can, as I have a young daughter that is a bit of a meanie, and not one that likes to take advice. But you're not the arsehole. I think you think it was a long time coming." OP says they were heavy on natural consequences and being tolerant to others. Work and general ethics has always been important for them, and they always relied the message of collaboration and cooperation. They also really emphasized on the need of relaxation and self-care too. My father and mother are also in the healthcare field, although they got retired when I was in residency, and they saw too many burnouts." Commenter says, "I'm really confused about the family dynamic established by your parents. Your first paragraph is extremely unclear. Did they create this precedence of pushing you all into high-powered careers?" OP says, "Honestly, no. I chose medicine, but I really liked it. My brother became a welder because he didn't have things for academics. My younger two sisters are preschool teachers, one in special education field. Honestly, they're really chill people." OP adds a little update and says, "My brother had a talk with her. He laid down all the stuff I told here and made her read this post. To our surprise, she knew about Reddit. When she asked about what to do about it, he said she should be working on herself and may be in peace with the fact that she will die alone in a care home. He said she was looking really defeated, but she got why she was abandoned by the family. She will leave the town for transferring her office to another state because she said to me it was too much pain for her. Again, egocentric perspective, but she will leave at least. She's leaving next Monday. My nephew said he wants to look at her eyes one last time before leaving, so he will meet her at Saturday afternoon at my brother's house." Around 2 days later, OP updates again and says, "Good morning from the grey city of Cologne. I have an update and after 24 hours to answer people's questions. I will log out from this account because I think it is over. Also, Reddit is really overstimulating for a guy who is in their second half of their 40s. First of all, my family does not blame me for her situation. They think I was an arsehole for not listening to her. They apologized after seeing the post though. All is well, we communicated. I also apologize for being too rough on them. My sister is another story. Last night we went to the house of my brother and sister-in-law. She was there, sitting with no expression, just a dull face. When my nephew greeted her, she just said, 'Hello, son,' with a really neutral voice. Scary even. She looked at him after 5 minutes of silence and said, 'I failed to raise you. I gave you so much pain and I almost caused your life. For that, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for not realizing it sooner. On Monday, I'll be leaving your lives and I will not ever come back. Just want you to know that I did what I thought was best. I understand now it wasn't.' My nephew looked at her and said, 'I unfortunately know. I know and see you still believe that we have to move on. I will move on, mother, but without you. I will move with the people who loved me, not with someone who sees me as a training dog. Farewell, mother.' And he gestured with his head that he wants to go. I looked at my sister and said, 'Bye, sis. Hope you find peace with your new life.' She silently nodded and we left. My brother and sister-in-law told me that she will legally separate her ties with us in every way possible. They're helping her to do that, and sister-in-law said, We need this, and she needs this. Us being separate will be much better for all of us. Not a big ending, but it is an ending to this. My parents and her had a talk at Friday, and they realized the wounds are too big and painful to heal together. Not a happy ending, but at least it ended. Thanks for all for reading. I also took note of your recommendations, and I will be applying them. Last notes, dear all, I took your concerns and had a phone call with her. I talked with her and she does not have an ounce of it. She said she does not want to come that close to death ever again. She's currently preparing for a new life and she is just like herself, stoic, ready for new horizons and leaving her old life behind. I'm also a doctor and I had my fair share of suicidal patients. She is fine, but also thanks for your concerns about her. Honestly, I don't care anymore what is happening to her. My parents care about her death, and this is enough for me. Goodbye. And as you probably already worked out in this that the OP is German, and there was a commenter who related, and the comment was highly liked. It was the top comment. It's from Madame Mim, who says, German lady here, 48, aka same age as OP and his siblings. To be honest, I was not surprised either, reading that this is a story happening in Germany. Our parents' generation is sadly a terrible one, and it's only partly their fault. They were born either in World War II or shortly after. The war-traumatized parents that were part of one of the biggest crimes in human history and come from a nation of perpetrators of the Holocaust. Our parents' generation was raised in silence, suppressed emotions, need to function, and total lack of empathy. There is a huge emotional atrophy in our parents' generation that has bled into our generation. They grew up in the need to function and achieve to be worth anything, building from the ruins, guilt, and horrors of a war caused by their parents. My generation is full of emotionally stunted people that don't know how to build connection with their children beyond function and making them to achieve something. Some did the emotional work or had therapy to heal. Most have not, or are just starting to now in their 40s or 50s, and our children have suffered for it. I see it on my own family and in myself. I was the kid in the late 80s and 90s suffering from depression and addiction, and I still work on myself in therapy. Never got kids because I was aware of my trauma and me not being able to provide emotionally for myself, and definitely not any children. Through all of this, I finished university and functioned my ass off, and I'm career-wise the most successful of my siblings. They all got married and had children. These children are the third generation after the World War II generation, and guess what? Mental health is bad. I have an 18-year-old niece with major depression, anxiety, and emotionally not her age. My brother and his wife did not do the emotional work that they should have done to deal with their trauma inflicted by our parents. The difference is that my nieces and nephews have A, me, and B, my sister has done the work. Her kids are better off. My point is, OP's sister is not an exception. She might be an extreme, but there are thousands of stories like this or similar in Germany. And it's not talked about enough, and mental health resources are not enough. I believe this goes back to even before the World War II generation. This is the trauma war brings to humans, for generations, and the human race has not learned anything and did not have time to heal, because it not just affects Germans. We are walking right back into it. OP did leave a comment, but it was in German, but it roughly translated as, my parents are both pharmacists and, before having children, pursued professional and personal growth in the 1960s. They were born in 1949 and had my sister in 1974. At the time, my mother was actively working as a researcher in the pharmaceutical industry, in the field of psychiatric medications. This makes the whole thing all the more incomprehensible to me. Someone said to OP that no one speaks like you do in the modern era. OP replied saying, my main language is not English. In German, we do speak like this. And someone agreed with OP. OP said to someone else, I attended a humanistic high school where German classes, especially literature, played a central role. My exposure to German literature was intense and formative. At the same time, I also delved deeper into English literature in my English classes, which further strengthened my passion for language and text. Then OP came in with what they titled their final update and says, multiple people PM'd me and my mail was spammed with mails from Reddit, so I'm going to give this update and disconnect my mail address from this account. To the people who were concerned, I sent the update and she laughed. Yes, she laughed that people were thinking she was going to kill herself. She said, I'm getting better even though I know I failed my son. He will be fine, I will be fine, and we will all move on. At this point, I had a rage on her. I unleashed everything and told her how she could switch so fast from begging for acceptance to indifference, and what she said really made me think she's a sociopath. You all caught me in my weakest moment, but after leaving you behind, I realized my biggest mistake was thinking I needed acceptance from you people. I then asked, didn't she feel bad when the judge burned her at court? She said, at that time, I was only relieved from being free of you, and when you question your mortality, you search for companionship instinctively. But I know better now. Don't expect a call from me, or don't wait for a funeral announcement. Goodbye. And she put down the phone. I don't know what to say, other than I hope she dies alone in a caring home with no one to hurt anymore. But with this hatred against us, I hope she will die soon. Good night, everyone. I found the German comment in the middle really interesting. I watch a lot of World War II documentaries. I just find it an absolute wild time. But that comment in the middle really gave me pause for thought there about the generational trauma that would be passed down in Germany and everywhere. But the sister in this, absolutely cold and, like you said, sociopathic behavior. It was just like a complete inability to self-reflect. Even after the health scare, there was just no remorse there. But after all that, I really hope that the nephew is rebuilding his life with supportive family members. It sounds like the healthiest outcome for him, isn't the reconciliation, it's just that complete separation from that person because, wow. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from EvenBreath9368 from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit, and it says, Am I the arsehole for moving out after my mum announced her pregnancy? I'm 22 female. My mum is 37. I have 3 younger siblings, female 14, female 7, and male 4. Me and the second oldest have different dads from each other and the other 2. They and this upcoming baby all have the same dad, our stepdad. I'm sorry if that was confusing. There are 3 dads in total, but only our stepdad is involved now. I was the babysitter and mum growing up. When my sister was born, I magically became mum despite not even being double digits. When the others came, I was still mum. I didn't get to have fun, go out, or be a kid. My job in the house was to cook, clean, raise my siblings, and deal with our mum. She was incredibly immature growing up and loved to drink, party, spend money on luxuries, and not be a mum. She acts like a mum now, but a lot of the work still falls on me. She robbed me of my own childhood, and I'm very bitter about it. The only reason I lived at home for so long was because no one would or could take me in, and I felt that I could tolerate it for free rent and food. It was a good deal for me then, but I'm 22 now. I'm done being a mum, and I don't even have kids. Last year, my stepdad's parents died in a car accident, and as their only child, he got everything. We all moved into their home and got a bit of money under our belts, so I guess they decided to have a baby. When my mum announced it, I asked if she was serious. She confirmed and asked me if I still had my diaper changing skills as a joke. I was silently livid. I dryly laughed and found some roommates online that night. The thought of wasting another 10 plus years raising my siblings sounded like hell. She found out that I'm planning on leaving come August, and now she's irate, calling me every name under the sun and selfish. She got my siblings involved, and the youngest is crying, asking why I don't love them anymore and why I'm leaving. It's really low to use the kids like that, and it hurts. I don't want to stay, but I don't want them to cry. I know I'm doing the right thing for myself, but is it the right thing for them? My mum never really parented growing up. She wouldn't, so I took over that role. I was the one who changed diapers and taught them their ABCs and all that. I was the one who cooked dinner and bathed them. I look at none of my siblings as siblings, but as my own kids because that's what they basically are. I don't think she'd be able to do a good job. She and my stepdad rely on me heavily in the category. Am I the arsehole for leaving? I need advice on how to get over this feeling and move on. Edits. Holy shit, this kind of blew up when I wasn't expecting it to. Thanks everyone for the kind messages. You were all right and I need to go. My mum and stepdad need to figure it out. I'm going to talk to all 3 of my siblings and explain that me leaving is normal and a good thing. I'll always be a phone call away. I'm most worried about my 14-year-old sister though, and will not hesitate to get authorities involved if I suspect she's going through what I went through, or she tells me herself. I'll be giving her a different type of talk soon to try and prevent her from becoming the new mum. Thanks everyone. If I update again, it'll be after I've already moved out. I really appreciate your guys' support. It's given me strength to do what's right, even if it's hurting. My mum and stepdad can hire a babysitter with his inheritance if they really can't do it. That's incredibly sad and classic parentification. The fact that OP sees her siblings as her own kids just speaks volumes, doesn't it? And regardless of all this anyway, at 22, it's completely normal to want to move out and start your own life, and the mum expecting her to stick around and having a go at her as well is just absolutely disgusting. But from your point of view, OP, moving out doesn't mean you're abandoning them. It means you're creating boundaries for yourself, healthy ones at that. And it still sounds like you're protecting your siblings anyway, having those chats to them, which, I think is a good thing. At least they know that they can talk to you if there's any issues. But Angsty Karatita says, no, leave now. It's getting way manipulative, and your mum seems like the queen of making poor choices as it is. Like, Jesus. Run for your life, remain in contact with your siblings, but it's not your obligation to be a mother to your mum's kids. Edit. You need to point out it's time for her to grow the fuck up. Be the parent that, by the sound of it, you never had. Opie says, I agree with her being the queen of bad decisions. When I was born, I could excuse it because she was so young and needed guidance. My grandparents, her parents, were permissive and let her do whatever she wanted with little to no consequences. It was really fun when I was a kid because, well, no rules. I moved a lot growing up into her boyfriend's houses and stayed with her friends frequently when she went out to party. Eventually, as you might expect, I learned that that wasn't fun and that I wanted my mum. I would cry and she'd push me aside because she just didn't want to be a parent. She's doing a lot more now, like I said in my post, but it's obvious she has no idea what kids are really like. She sees them as sort of a decoration because they were always shoved at me. She knows she's going to have a world of hell waiting for her once I'm gone. Gone Baby Thought says, you tell the kids I love you in my heart, no matter what, always. And you leave because you deserve a life that is not being a domestic servant to your mother's failed birth control philosophy. You being parentified at such a young age is a form of abuse. Sit down with your 14-year-old sister and explain what happened to you, and that she can't let it happen to her. Your mum will come after her next. It'd be a very good idea to get a therapist to help you reframe exactly how badly you've been treated and why you need to leave. You can't help the other kids really until you help yourself first. Opie says, I thought about my sister a lot as well, which is what makes this so hard. I took the brunt of everything so she wouldn't have to. I wanted her to be a kid. 14 is way too early to be a parent, and I know that's what will happen to her. I know that she'd just do what she's told, and she's responsible enough to realize that when things aren't working, and she'd try to fix them herself and fall into that trap. I don't know how to have that conversation with her without my household exploding, but I know that it needs to be done. My two little siblings have just been crying and crying, thinking that I'm never coming back, even though I tell them that I'll come visit. My mum keeps telling them that I'm never coming back and abandoning my family. Ugh. An awful person. So as you can imagine, the comments were just like telling OP that, she needs to do what's right for herself in this situation. But OP came in with her update and said, hello everyone. I just want to say thank you again for your kind words and encouragement. You have no idea what they meant to me. I moved out and everything is going fine. My mum and stepdad blocked me, but my 14-year-old sister so far is doing fine. I talked to all my siblings individually, but it was a rough in more ways than one. An explosive argument with my mum the day I left, but that was to be expected. She said nothing new. She called me selfish, a brat, a terrible daughter, and that she wished she had aborted me. Nothing I haven't heard before. About a week or so before I moved out, I stopped doing most of the things I did before. My parents freaked out and we had a lot of arguments, but I'm happy it's over with. Every time they saw me, a comment was said either to my face or under their breath. My mum would act like I was invisible and talk shit about me to whoever was around. She filled my siblings' heads with bullshit, and I was incredibly stressed about it. I actually considered staying at that point. I was very close to just staying home, which I know will disappoint you, but I almost did. This wasn't an easy transition for my siblings, and they're small. It hurts so bad watching them get wrapped up in all of this. My parents had no idea how to do anything for some reason. They had no patience and couldn't get the kids to listen to them. I know they didn't have much experience in childcare, but they were acting brand new. I had a really hard time watching them struggle and watching my siblings suffer because of it. I felt fucking horrible and like I was neglecting them. School is also coming up very soon, and I used to always get them together, so that's going to be an upcoming problem. I'm happy that I won't be around for that, but I'm sad that I won't be. My little brother will be a kindergartner, and my sister will be a freshman in high school. Those are huge milestones I wanted to be around for. But on the bright side, my sister is playing the incompetence card all on her own, and I love her for it. After our conversation about not turning out like me, she told me she'll pretend not to know how until Mum stops asking her, which hasn't happened yet. Apparently Mum asks her to cook, wash the kids, get them dressed, etc. Little gateway things that will spiral into her being the new mum. I'm proud of her for sticking to her plan for the few weeks that she has. She's a lot stronger than I thought she was. I really thought I'd have to drill it into her to not do anything, but she's doing a lot better than expected. I just hope she doesn't crumble under the pressure. I know it's hard. In order to visit, I have to be welcomed back into the house, but that isn't going well since I'm blocked. I don't want my sister being the middleman, even though she's already trying. I want to see everyone, but without permission, there's nothing I can do. And if anyone cares about my new move, my roommates are great. We played Monopoly our first night, all settled in, and it was a great bonding experience. And they're very clean people. It seems so small, but holy shit, it's amazing. I'm loving my current arrangement and hoping it lasts. So yeah, I'm doing fine. My sister didn't take over my job, and I hope she never does. And my parents are losing their minds as expected. I can see their marriage falling apart in the future too. They can figure it all out and raise this one start to finish. Part of me is still feeling incredibly guilty for leaving, and I sometimes regret it. But my newfound freedom feels so good, and I'm reminded of why I left. I'm going to a bar later tonight with my roommates for the first time in my life to let loose and have fun. It feels so weird to say, but I feel like a teenager. Everything is so exciting and feels a bit illegal, like I'm out way past curfew. So thank you again, everyone. I don't think I'd actually moved without your guys' words. Even though I found roommates, I don't think I could have left on my own. I wouldn't have committed and probably just stayed home. I'm not as strong as I thought I was. It really helped me make a decision when I thought about disappointing you guys. I've never met any of you, but having a cheerleader and knowing that so many of you saw my post and wrote me a kind message really helped. I couldn't be more grateful and excited to live my life. I thought it'd be a great time to update since I'm going out tonight to have some fun. Someday all the guilt will be gone and I'll patch up my relationship with everyone. I still want to have a relationship with my mum someday if she'd change and allow it. As much as I say I hate her, I still sort of love her. She's still my mum. But until then, bye everyone. Thank you all so much. I really do hope that things do work out for all the other siblings in this because, you know, that mum just sounds like something else. But OP, I was excited for OP towards the end when they were talking about, you know, their newfound freedom. It must be like both terrifying and exhilarating at the same time, getting to that age and not having experienced any of that and then suddenly finding it. Wow, good on OP. I just really hope that OP does keep her guard up because I can just imagine one day that they're going to unblock her and try to get back in touch. Maybe starting off small for an occasional bit of help babysitting or something along those lines. So I really hope that OP does stick to her boundaries on that one. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.